All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're very okay right now. Your brains have calmed down, your overload is reducing, and you've cured the reactor that is your minds. Now, let's get on to continuing with this compilation of our assets. Now, these commands for dev and development, prod, and production usually compile our assets the way we expect them to. I'm sure for those guys who are beginners, they don't know what to expect, but let's just get down to what is going on, and you'll see it in action quite slowly. So we talked about how SAS is not going to be readable within our HTML, so we can't import them to our HTML. Secondly, it's in our resources folder, and whenever we are importing stuff into our views, they're always going to be looking inside the public folder. That's something that I didn't mention about Laravel itself, because this is the main folder of where our application is going to be hosted and be driven. So these commands will enable us to compile our assets, CSS, JS, SAS, or whatever the case. It will be able to compile for us our assets and bring them into our public in a more readable format, and then we can be able to import them into our views. Now, this is how this looks. Let me actually demonstrate. So we have our functions over here. If we click on reload, we'll find some two links that will pop up over here after running all those UI commands. So I'm going to click reload, and you'll see a login and a register. If you don't have the login and register, then go back to the previous videos and see the commands that we run and see what is supposed to be there, because I described it in pretty good detail. So I'm going to click on login, and whoops, look at that. There's no style whatsoever. If I go and click this same register link, it will take me to a register section, which again doesn't have the link, doesn't have anything really. So what are we going to do here to enable this style to come back? And we can actually see inside my code that if we go to those login and register views, we can see that login has extends layouts.app, which is like now the default place where it's supposed to be laid out, and then it has some classes for Bootstrap. So essentially Bootstrap should be working, right? Well, if we go to our layouts app where all our script tags and our style sheets will be found, we can see that it's importing a JS app.js from a place that we probably don't know. Now I'm going to clear the air right now. They're going to look every single time we're importing something, it's going to have to look inside our public folder. That's the first place it will go to when we start there. So it's going to look inside a folder called JS inside our public folder, and then going to look for app.js. Same thing for our CSS, app.css. So what's happening here? They're not there. So that is why this looks very styleless. Now we're going to run that compilation called npm run dev so that we can see what it does. So I'm going to run npm run dev once and let it run to completion. It's a very simple command. It's going to install VB template compiler, and I think it will tell me to install this thing again. I'm not so sure, but let's just see and wait for it to run. So there's this new dependency that has been added called the Vue template compiler. So if we go to package.json, we'll be able to see it amongst the last ones over here. Okay, so if you've been watching my terminal while I was speaking, you'll see that this had gone on and installed the way it was supposed to be doing it. It had gone on and compiled our files. So we go back to our public, and oh, lo and behold, there's some new files that have been popping up. There's this mix manifest.json, which I've never touched in my life before. There's this JS and CSS, which has app.css, and it has all our styles whatsoever. And remember, I've not looked at any Bootstrap files or folders or whatnot. These have just been brought in from the node modules into our SAS, and then they've been compiled from our SAS to our CSS so that we don't have to look at the node modules folder when we are hosting our application ever again. Same thing for our JS. We have a lot of JavaScript right here. Cool. Now, once we have that done, we can go back here and refresh, and you guys will see the styling is there, present, front and center. So if we click on login, we'll go to the login page. If we click on register, we'll go to the register page. Now I want to talk about something that you guys have probably seen inside our Bleed before we go anywhere else. Inside our Bleed, we talked about how we have this app.bleed.php, and then it has all this content. And then when we went to our login and our register, everything was still there already set for us to use. Now this is because we're using our app.bleed.php as our layout. Basically, it's going to have a default navigation bar, which is this one, which is the one that you guys see. And then we're going to have a main tag over here where it is going to yield our content. Now, yield just exactly what you heard, yield content, such that if we implement or extend this layout, much like in object-oriented programming, we have things called interfaces. We're using this as an interface for many of our pages. So if I go to welcome.bleed.php and just decide to delete everything, like so, I want to have an empty page first. So let me confirm with you guys like this. So this is the empty page of our home page. And then I want to do something. I want to say extends. So this is the tag at extends. And then you open it up like that. Then you say layouts. Now this is where you locate, this is how you locate the layout itself. You go to you label the folder that is immediately after this welcome.bleed.php, which is now the layouts. And then you go and look for the file, which is app. So I'm going to say press enter, and that's it. So this is in a systematic way of this is the folder, and then this is the file. The final one is always the file after the dot. The final one is always the file. Now, if we go ahead and if this was just simply layouts, then it would have been that this layouts was an actual file called layouts.bleed.php. But we're looking for layouts.app, which means that in the layouts folder, there's a file called app.bleed.php. Now, after extends, we know that we have something called yield inside our app.bleed.php, and it is called content. Now, if we did this, if we went ahead and decided to yield, not yield actually, create a section. And this section basically entails bringing in the yield property from our layouts.app and takes whatever name is inside here and matches it with whatever yield tag there is over there, and then just places whatever content is within or in between this part over here, between the section, please. So if I did, like, say for example, h1.textCenter text center, let me just escape so that it can give me emet, not ht but h1. Oops. So h1 text center, and then I just say this is my app. So I'm just going to refresh that, and you guys will see that this is exactly what I was aiming to do. We put in the navigation bar, we put in all our style, and then you see Bootstrap is working for this because this is my app is displaying like so. But what if this was outside the section, or rather what if the section was just written something different? Let's say if the section has written something different, it won't be appearing here. It won't at all. So let's see, HTML, we have div app, we have main class like that, and you can see, I mean, pretty much you can see that it's supposed to extend whatever, and it won't be seen in our HTML whatsoever. Very good. As long as we understand that at this point, we're good to go. What if this was outside the section? Will it appear? Will it not appear? Let's actually test that. You can see this is my app, appears outside. It's extending the layout, but it's not putting it inside the section. It's extending the layout, putting the style on the h1 tag, but it's not extending, it's not putting this content inside the section because we put it outside the section, as you guys can see. So essentially, whatever appears either underneath this section or above this section will always appear above or the entire body, or the entire HTML that will be put inside the body. Good. So that is essentially what I wanted to cover with Blade templates. So this is content and this is my H1. If I click on this, I'm going to say login. This is the login. If I put register, this is the register. And again, Bootstrap is very, very responsive. So if I want to change back to desktop, this is how it looks on desktop. Change to phone, you can see the hamburger menu and everything that comes with it. Everything is good with that. Cool. Now that we've done that, we can go over a few things that probably will bug some people. The routes. The routes are already predefined. They're already predefined when it comes to the login and everything. So you may want to play around with that. You may not want to play around with that. That's fine. This home, you can change it to something like profile. And then you go to index, name home, and what? Yeah, that's essentially it. I can go and say that I want to change that within my... No, actually, let me change that also within my name over here. I'll change this to profile. And then I'll go to my layouts app over here. And I think that's actually everything. Maybe it's inside my navigation bar. Something to prompt me to go home. Yeah, it's actually here. So it's either login or register if I am a guest, but if I'm not a guest, then it will take me to my username and then it will drop down and give me a logout form, and yeah, so on and so forth. I can also create another link down here and it will give me something different. So in order to test this, I'm going to register a user myself with a password of my choosing. And I'm going to register, and then if you see, it will say SQL state general error, phone number does not have a default value, insert into users name, email, password. So that is a problem right there. You cannot have a null value unless it's being defined that that particular area is nullable. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to my database, my migrations, and I'm going to go to my create users table. I'm going to go to phone number and then say nullable. Now nullable is a function that enables this thing to appear as null. I kind of created it badly. So so just like this email verified at, this can also be nullable. And then this is admin should also have a default value. So now this one, this default value should be false, because it's a boolean, and I'm going to start it as someone is just registering themselves as a casual user. So the default value in this situation is false, but they can be admin if the super can be able to enable this user to be an admin. Okay, so those are roles that I'll be able to create using seeders, which we'll get into in the long run. So I'm going to do PHP artisan. Now, because we didn't put anything in the database, I'm just going to do migrate, and then I'm going to do fresh, so that it can drop all the tables within the database and migrate them to the database yet again. So it's dropped all the tables successfully, and then it started migrating everything back into it. And that is inclusive of the blogs, the comments, and the categories tables. So I'm going to click that. It says something different, so let me just refresh. Then I say my name, my password, I confirm my password. I think that's it. So it says phone number does not have a default value. Insert into users. So I don't know why it's refusing to be nullable at this point. because even email verify that is nullable. Oh yeah, it's because I didn't save while migrating. Okay, let me just migrate fresh again. So I didn't save while migrating, so I'm just going to hit that, and then it's going to come here. Now here's the problem. Our home is not going to be found. Reason because I defined this home to be, or rather the application defined this route called home to be my main route whenever I log in. But I've disabled it again within my routes and renamed it to profile. So what do? I'm going to go to my home controller, and that's exactly where I'm going. Then I come and redefine it within this area actually. So return view home is fine because the file is still called home.blade.php. That's okay. But what happens with the auth routes? Once I register, what happens? Or maybe it's in my auth controllers right here. Actually, yeah, it should be here, my auth controllers. So upon registration, it's supposed to carry something else. So I'm going to use register users, and then it's going to go to route service provider home. So here is where it has actually defined that it should go to home, but I want it to go to profile. I'm going to save that, and I'm actually going to reset this. It's not available, but I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to go log out. I'm going to register another user, this time a different user. I'm going to say example user, and then I'm going to say eu at example.com, and then I'm going to set a password. I'm going to set another password, confirm. I'm going to press enter, and as you can see, it works now, and it's taken me to profile instead of home. So it works. Now if I go to Laravel, it's okay. If I go and hit example user, it will give me logout function over here. But I want to be able to click on example user on itself, and it takes me to home. Or rather, I put up a link that takes me to home, or rather profile in this situation. So what I'll do in this situation, I'll go to my app.blade.php, and you see this drop down event right here. I'm going to create a second one just above it, and then I'm going to remove these on click events right here, and yeah, I'm just going to close that tag right there, and the route over here will be profile, and then I will put up my name, so I'll just say my profile, and then after that I'll just refresh it, and then you see my profile is there. It will take me to home, and everything will be okay. So I want to set it up in a different way actually. I want to put some if statement here. So I want to say if request, so I want to put an if tag, so be if, like this, be if else, and then end if. So if request is, so I'm going to say is, which is a function that takes the string of the what, let's say home. If request is home, no, let's say if request is profile, it takes the string of the URI. So if request is profile, then I want to put in this same thing, the same link. Actually, no, I want to put in a different link. So I'll put this link down here, and then I'll put a different link here. And this link will be homepage. So homepage is like the welcome.blade.php. And then the route over here will just be what? Home. No, it will be welcome, as outlined maybe by the routes themselves. So I'll just say name over here. So name will be welcome, just like that. Okay, so I'll just refresh it. Everything will be subtle. I'll just hit home. It will take me home. If I hit my profile, take me. But you can see, as long as I'm not in my profile, it will. As long as I'm not in my profile, it will give me my profile. But if I go to my profile, then it will give me home. So that's how you work around on the back end and make these things a bit more dynamic. Change on request. Now, other than that, I think we'll stop there for now, and then we'll talk about how we'll implement our controllers for working around the blog post. So other than that, I think this will be my last recording for today. So thank you guys for tuning in. Have an amazing evening. Enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.